We're live, y'all.
Hey.
I'll kick off. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Keep the Mic On. If you've seen this show, you know my face, you know my name. And if you haven't, I'll introduce myself right now. For those of you who do not know me, I am Girl Genius. It is a pleasure to have you with us this evening, this lovely Sunday. As you can see, I have a little bit of sun coming through the windows. I have this lovely spring sunset thing happening. It's fantastic. Works wonders for the skin. Anyway, I am one of your four hosts for Keep the Mic On. I am first week of every month, and my segment is called Let's Talk About the dot, 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 usually books, but more often I am trying to dig into products and process, which is not just, okay, here's a book. It's what did it take to get the book done? And, what does your writing process look like? I love those type of questions. Anyway, again, first week of the month. And our other host, Simply Sherry, she is third week of the month. She's not with us this evening. She shall be back on the next episode. Her week is From Behind the Microphone. I had to think about it for a second. There's 4 segments. I got to remember all of them.
Right.
From Behind the Microphone, where she gets to know the person behind the poetry. So that is her segment. Again, she'll be back with us next segment or next show, and we'll talk about the show schedule at the end of the show, because we are on a hiatus next week because it's a holiday, so I hear.
Yes.
All the things. So right now I am, because I know whose week it is, going to pass it to one of my favorite people and people poets. That would be Kaniki J.
Thank you, Girl Genius. And they don't call her Girl Genius for nothing. Thank you for joining us again on YouTube and Facebook. This is a perfect time for you to tell everybody that we are on here. They've been missing it the entire time. So don't be stingy. Share with your friends. My name is Kaniki Jakarta. My week is called Poets and Platforms on the 4th week of the month. And I interview poets who have platforms for all types of art. This is the perfect time for me to tell you that everybody who comes on here, they volunteer our time. We're also volunteering our time as well. But these platforms are not free. So if you would like to support us financially so we can keep the mic on, you can hit up our Patreon and our Cash App scrolling right there at the bottom of your screen. Yes, so that we can keep these platforms going. I said every week, I'm very excited about Miss Cayenne's guest this week because it's going to be amazing. And it always is. We've been coined the masterclass online. Y'all said it. We didn't. And we keep on bringing people on so we can still be called, masterclasses on these platforms. So I am going to kick it to the one, the only Miss Cayenne.
I love it. It's one of the highlights of my time when I get to hang out with this wonderful crew. My name is Miss Cayenne. I'm a poet and I know it. My segment is called Passion Projects, the root behind the why. I've always been a curious person. I'm the one that's asking, but why? But why, right? The annoying why asker. And so here's an opportunity for me to share with you guys, with different creatives, the story behind their passion. And I am excited because we have a phenomenal guest tonight. I believe it's going to be another wonderful master class. And so if I'm not forgetting anything, I'm just so excited. I think I want to start to introduce her already. Can I do that, ladies? Can
do that? Do it.
Awesome. So they're going to, my co-hosts are going to, step on the side there, and I'm going to introduce our guest for tonight. Poet, author, performer, songwriter, community artivist, voice over artist, speaker, and MC. I mean, my goodness. Let me read you this bio. A rare talent who grabs you by the heart and says, recognize. Bettina, Poet Gold Wilkerson, is pushing the boundaries of poetry and the spoken word. Affectionately known as Gold, she brings a soul-searching insight about the human existence, love, dreams, challenges, and triumph. Appointed the 2017 and 2018 New York City Dutchess County Poet Laureate, Poet Gold is the recipient of numerous awards, which include the 2016 Dutchess County Executives Artivist Award and the Dutchess County Athena Award honoree. With countless recitations, she has opened for Grammy-nominated artists and has spoken at renowned organizations such as Omega Institute and Self-Employment in the Arts. As a teaching artist, Poet Gold has collaborated with institutions and nonprofits who support STEAM education. That's, if I'm not mistaken, that includes science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics education. She has worked with at-risk youth, Youth with Promise, and has served organizations who utilize the arts to confront issues such as gun violence in their communities to social justice. Presently, she is the co-host for the iHeartRadio show and podcast, Finding Out with Pete and the Poet Gold, as well as creator and host for the online web series Leading with Artivism, a collaboration with Arts Mid-Hudson. Poet Gold's distinct voice and poetry can be heard in the American Heart Association New York City 2022 Go Red for Human campaign. And as you can see above, you can find out more about her on her website at poetgold.com. Let's bring her in here. Hey, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you because people like yourself, busy. Y'all out here changing the world. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So that you can give us a few minutes of your time is so we're so appreciative. And as we do with every guest that comes on, we allow them a moment to begin the segment with their artistry. So we're going to do that now. We're going to give you a space to share with us a poem, and then I'll come back on.
All right, fine. Actually, I literally just pinned this night before last, like 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's entitled Rebirth. Sun showers are stunning. Think the impossible, a phenomenon. I take a shower every morning, hoping when I step out from the steam, I'll see Roy G. Biv right in my bathroom. Startling. Imagine if you can do that. What energy, what vibrancy would we walk amongst each other with? Droplets of water that somehow make our lives colorful. A water immersion on a sunny day, creating healing moments, medicine, giving our spirit a chance to be reborn, restored through a fascination we all point to in the sky together, sometimes at the same time. The pandemic locked us down, tried to rob us of our rainbows, straitjacket our spirits, but it did not lock us up and throw away the key. Yes, it did not lock me up. Take more showers, I said. My best friend called me in dismay. Take more showers, I said. You're in a waterfall, girl. Let the water fall. Roll down your cheeks, taste the salt. You're in an ocean now. Can you swim? Nature has not forsaken you. Nature has not forsaken me. Nature has not forsaken us. Another lesson like other lessons. Another chance to self-correct, change course. Or are we too lost? Too late, too stubborn, driving around in circles in brand new cars, hamsters on a wheel. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. There's laughter in those colors. The child within us glee, like an oasis in a desert, like discovering a flower growing in a barren field. There's hope. The mask was not intended to have so many lose sight, simply to maintain life. So you have a chance to step out of your shower and find your Roy G. Biv in your bathroom. And there's an arc illuminating above you you may have snatched from Joan. So you get dressed, step out into the world, raise your hands, your arms above your head, and shout, look at me now. I survived. I thrive. I live. I'm here. I'm grateful. It's my rebirth, and I own it.
Myself off. Woo! Powerful.
Thank you. Thank you.
We could almost spend the night just dissecting that piece. Wow. And I'm always good for trying to pull out lines that hit me, punch me, resonate with me. A few things that just caught me right off the bat was Straight Jacket, Our Spirits. That visual was palpable. I could
Yeah.
And I love the line, the mask was not intended for us to lose sight, if I'm not mistaken,
Right.
but to
Yes.
save life.
Right.
Wow. Talk to me about the inspiration behind this piece.
Well, actually, I'm working on a project with some artists, and it's an environmental piece.
Okay.
And so I was looking at some of the photos that had been sent to me, and it came out of that. The particular one, the barren. There was this one with bayous. It was trees in the bayou, and then another artist had these branches, and they were all very colorful. These branches, they're red and green. And I said, "Wow, that reminds me of a rainbow." And
wow.
so the piece and the theme of it is called rebirth, rebirthing. And so that's what sparked this particular piece. I don't know if it's going to be kept in the series, but at least, it came out. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so powerful. It's so powerful. I want to almost hear it again, but I don't want to get stuck. That's such a wonderful, wonderful piece. And thank you for sharing that with us. I was thinking, you're quite welcome. I was thinking about our introduction, and Tony Jones was the one who connected us years ago.
Oh, a long time ago.
I mean, long time.
Long. Yes.
I think it was the beginning of Facebook. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
And because we've never met in person,
right.
and it was a introduction even then. But he obviously spoke so highly of you, and he was like, "Look, you need to connect because she doing a doggone thing, and you just need to connect." So I remember being grateful because people reach out. I'm sure you have this experience. People reach out, and particularly, when you have some level of visibility, there are people constantly maybe pulling for whatever reason on you. Right. And I just wanted to say, I appreciated that you didn't like cast me away. It was like, hey, there's such an embracing from one art creative to another that even electronically it was felt. You have, as they say, affection known as gold, and I find that to be golden. That your spirit is so welcoming.
I try to be present. I've learned in life that it's important to be present because you never really know where someone is in their journey in life, period. And so I do my best not to be dismissive to others.
Yeah, that's important. I think it's a very famous quote, sometimes a little bit misquoted, and I'm probably going to do it myself. But Maya Angelou's that phrase that speaks to you may forget, what people have said, what they've done, but you won't forget how that person made you feel. You won't. That's something that won't be forgotten. That's something that I think is important as from human beings to human beings to make sure that you're, like you said, present and being that light. So I'm just so excited. So here's the thing. You have done, you're highly respected, and we're going to talk about who you are a little bit more, but kind of expound on that on your resume that I read. Highly respected, both in your community, both in the poetry family. These things are obviously for those who've done any type of research. So one of the things in your bio that grabs me is this one little line, and I'm hoping you can expound upon it. It says, "It's your talent grabs you by the heart." And so, I'm a very visual person. I'm a very
Right.
visual person. So, there's this thing in my mind, you grab someone's face with your hands,
Mhm.
and their cheeks are in the palms of you, and you bring them face to face. And that's a palpable visual. But
Mhm.
when this bio rather says grabs your gift, your desires to grab people by their heart, what does that mean? What does that speak to for you?
Well, physically, we often think that the heart is right here. We always say, this is where the heart is, but it's actually here.
Mm.
It's actually here. And so if I can gain your attention for the moment, even if it's just one word that stays with you,
Yeah.
then that seed may be nurtured by someone else, but the seed was planted. It may not even be my place to nurture it. It may be someone else to recognize that within you. But if I can plant the seed to get that process going and be a part of that, because we are an ecosystem, so to speak,
Yeah.
humanity. And so, I always say that I may not be the one to change 1,000, but I may drop the seed upon one that's meant to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That concept of connectivity, and that we all have a role to play, a part to play in our sphere of influence, right?
Right.
It takes you away from the narcissistic approach to things and really into the connectivity and the concept of community, that if I can touch one, then that one can touch another, and so forth and so on.
Right, exactly.
Totally get that. So tactfully, and at your comfortability level,
Mm-hmm.
Reading your bio and learning more about you, it talks about performing for Grammy-nominated artists. Can you do a little bit of name dropping tactfully?
I didn't drop too much, but one that sticks out in my head is I had the opportunity to open up for MC Light for an event with Lauryn Hill.
Awesome.
That was the Ladies of Hip Hop, and that was fun because it was one of my early experiences.
Yeah.
And so it was lasting, and it stayed with me.
Yeah.
And what surprised me also in that is that friends, actually made their way to go to Massachusetts, to another state where it was happening. And so that was very moving for me.
Awesome.
And MC Light was very nice. She was very great.
I was going to say, well, obviously it was a good experience. So that's awesome. So do you, I hear a lot of poets say, well, I started off as a rapper, and I see that one of the list of many talents is an MC.
Mm-hmm.
Does one area of your artistic endeavors kind of weigh heavier than others? Do you find yourself more closely connected to being an MC, or more closely to being a poet, or where do you kind of fall more connected to in all your many gifts, talents?
I think I was always a poet.
Gotcha.
Even when I was had a band, I work with musicians now, but I took a hiatus for some time. Okay. But when I was more active with having a band, I'd always stop the session on the show and say, wait a minute, I just want to share some words.
Wow.
I just need to share some words, and strip down from the music and more or less have that message or that conversation, just to make sure people are centering.
Yeah.
At that moment, like let's just listen for a minute.
Yeah.
So the words are always very important to me. I share that with students that I teach, that the power of words will shape your destiny, your ability to communicate with others clearly, your thoughts, your feelings, your pain. Whether it be in a relationship, whether it be I want to raise, so how do I tell someone to become comfortable with your own voice?
Yeah.
And to be able to either put that on paper in some clear fashion or communicate it in some clear fashion.
Gotcha. Definitely. Words, so much power. I do a Sunday coaching. I call it Sunday coaching.
Mm-hmm.
It's me really just pontificating, right? But
that's okay.
And hoping that there's some golden nuggets in there for someone to run away with. I did that on Sunday right before the show. And so today the thought was remembering to breathe, but understanding breathing, of course, literally deep breathing exercises, but also that we use breath to speak and to communicate and to use our words. And we have the ability to control that and to be more conscientious about how we utilize our breath, because there's power in that. So that's just confirming or confirming for me that that's important. Like, just like you said, our words.
And and I learned that at a very young age on the streets.
Okay.
The ability of whether or not if I want to fight you or not, physically, literally, and I learned that you can actually talk your way out of a physical altercation if you master your words, and I was I don't like to fight, but I was a good fighter, growing up. I do what I have to do, but the alternative was, let's talk this out. Let's talk this out, and in understanding that it's not talking for the sake of talking. It's me understanding or recognizing something within yourself that has placed you at this moment in that space and time. And what is that? What is that?
Yeah.
What is that? I mean, and this goes back for me when we talk about the passion behind what a person does. This goes back to early images of Black people being hosed down.
Yeah.
Images of Kennedy being shot, Martin being assassinated, Malcolm being assassinated, and wondering deeply within myself as a child, why would people hate so much to do that? What is it? What is it that they couldn't say that would make them? Because regardless, when a person commits an act of violence, they are in pain. There's nothing beautiful about it. They're in pain. And so what conversation can we have that's going to help us both transition beyond that? So I have to be talking to your heart, not your intellect at that moment. That's the place. So it goes back for me, those early images of people just hosing us down and going, Mommy, you opened up early talking about why and being the curious kid. Why? Why are people in so much pain that they feel a need to do this? What are people so afraid of?
Wow.
What are they afraid of? And so the words, mastering communication and recognizing humanity on that level became important to me.
Yeah, no, that's powerful. Can you talk to us a little bit about, and I'm skipping around my own little list here of questions, but you kind of dived into, even your childhood and kind of at an early age, becoming aware of the power of words, but at the same token, acknowledging, there's times I have, we gotta
scrap it up a little bit.
Scrap up a little. Scrap up a little. Can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and your childhood and your experiences and how that connects to your work as an artist?
Well, my mom was an educator, and she was also a community activist. She worked for a nonprofit initially, so I had some great influences, around me of activism.
Okay.
And so I understand, what that's like. I was exposed to that.
Gotcha.
And my dad, worked for a private, company. He was a distributor of paper goods. We were coming up as a middle class family. My parents would, and this is something I didn't realize till we were filming my show 26 Mics, and we went back to the neighborhood to film it and ran into an old buddy that was telling the film crew my life story, and so I was like, oh, okay, I don't remember that, but he said that we were the first Black family and first family of color that owned a brownstone on that block.
Wow.
And that was significant to the people that lived there. And so as a kid growing up, you're not paying attention to those things, sometimes. So it was an interesting, dynamic. My grandfather, I grew up in Washington Heights, 179th Street, and apparently there were no trees. And my grandfather went to, I guess, what do you call this, the city office or whatever, and was trying to seek permission to put trees on the block because he wanted trees on our block, and they told him no. So he went and got a sledgehammer, brought the trees, cracked up the ground, and planted trees across from our house because it faced the highway going to the George Washington Bridge.
Okay.
And as a result of that, the city then put trees on the block. The gentleman said he planted 3 trees, 2 in front of our house and 1 at the corner, so that when people entered the block, they would see trees.
Yeah.
And so I think I get some of that spirit.
Yeah.
from being exposed to that, you know.
Oh my gosh. It is so hilarious to me because I'm like, that was one of my why questions. Like, where did this come from? The term that I hear, and it's not a new term, but I definitely hear it associated with you, is artivist, you know, using your art as an activist, and combining those two. So can you, and you've answering this a little bit here, but obviously you have it in your DNA to be a voice, to not just be passive, but to speak up, to stand up, to do something to evoke change. How would you define for you? I know for me, if you're like me, there's the book definition and then there's my definition. How would you define an artivist and what makes you one of them? How to define an artist? An artist for me is someone, regardless of the medium, who uses their art, who has decided to own it on a conscious level. Okay.
To become a beacon of change, or the seed planter, as I say. You know, and if a person is in your space long enough, then maybe you step into the role of the mentor. But in the same fashion, I think it's an organic process for some artists. Okay. You know, I don't think that and I could be wrong, that you know, my other fellow artists sort of sat back and said, damn it, when I grow up, I'm going to be an artivist. You know, it's like, this is what I'm doing today. You know, I think it's just something that's, like you said, within a person's DNA to do. And there's no, you know, great, how do I put this? You know, sort of like greatness with it, in the sense that someone is a traditional artist and, oh, you're the artivist. You know, it's just, this is just how we've chosen to use our life. Gotcha. You know, it becomes a calling.
Yes.
And yeah, it really becomes a calling, because, you know, I had an elder say to me one day, do you think I want to be out here marching? My feet hurt. You know, and I completely got it.
Yeah, that the light bulb goes off when you say it that way.
Yeah, I completely got it. It's like, you know, you wish the world was a little bit better. But in areas in space where it may not be, then you use your voice the way you can use your voice. You know, there are those that are the marchers. There are those that are the visual artists and the writers, and they put everything on the walls. You know, there are those that are the speakers. Everyone plays a role in the best way that they can. You know, and so when someone says to someone, what do you mean you're not going to go march? You know, well, maybe that person is writing the letters.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that person is inspiring that person to go march, but it may not be within their space to do it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make them less than or less committed for whatever the cause is.
Most definitely.
Everyone has their space.
I appreciate that so much. I think for so long, personally, I've experienced in different settings, whether in my church setting or as a social worker in the work of social work, or even as an artist, you know, you finding yourself in circles where if you're not doing it that way, and that then you may have a feeling of being outcast, and maybe not maliciously, because they're so passionate about this is the way, this is their lane, but there is something, like you said, organic and wonderful about understanding here's and I use this term sphere of influence. This is my sphere. This is where I need to work this ground. This is the ground that I've been given. I need to work this ground and do it with love, with compassion, or what have you. And if we all did that, like if we all, work our ground, then change can happen. Change
Right.
can happen. So, and it's a wonderful feeling to be in a space or be around people that understand that and can encourage people to do what they do and do it effectively with their own level of passion. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Speaking of which, though, so I had the privilege of being invited to a pre-viewing of one of your many projects, Say Their Names. And I'm hoping that my co-host, Girl Genius, is listening so she can be ready to cue this up. I'd like to share the video. How long is the video?
It is about 6 minutes, I think.
6 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we can do that. So I like to share this video and share with our audience if that's okay with you, because it was so powerful. But can you set it up for us? I remember you I think you were executive producer, the feature of the video. It featured singers, acting. It was just very multi-dimensional. Can you set it up for us? What was it about, and why did you decide to do this video?
Well, I have a collaborator, an artist by the name of Sabrina, who is a found objects sculptor. She does phenomenal work. Please go to her website, sabrinasculpture.com. I hope I'm saying that right. But you look her up. She's phenomenal. And so, when the murder of George Floyd happened, just to give you the setup, we were in that collective mourning like everyone else. But what we didn't know with each other is how we were processing it. We just had a conversation, and she made a puppet called Themis the puppet, which is the Greek goddess of justice. But her puppet had a little twist. She made this puppet, I think it's like 9 feet tall, of a white male, depicting a white male, because white men run the country. And that justice is not blind. So, and that was how she was processing dealing with the murder of George Floyd.
Okay.
I, on the other hand, was doing what I do, writing. And so I came up with this poem, Say Their Names, which then moved into being what I call a poelity, letting it have a poem with a melody, poelity, melodic structure, but it may not fall in the context of a complete song. And so we were having a conversation one day, and she's like, we should come together, and I'm going to take my puppet and walk the street, and maybe you can do your themes. Maybe you can do your Say Their Names, and let's see what happens. And it grew from there. We did a presentation earlier and on a bridge here, the walkway of the Hudson, and it went well. And so then we decided to get a grant. And grants are wonderful. Artists, find your local arts organization and see what funding is available for you to bring your vision alive. So we put in for a grant. We were able to get the funding for it, and piece it together, and brought in some really nice local talent of places that I had the opportunity to go and meet people through the open mics that I've run locally, and with partnerships, nonprofit partnerships. The Artifact have talented youth there, and a director there that I've worked with before for my poetry festival. And so we just all got together and shared ideas and said, let's get it done, and reached out to different organizations. The Southern Poverty Law Center, as you see that clip that it opens up with, they were so gracious and kind to allow me to use that.
Wow.
Of Mammy Till. They could have told me, no, who are you?
Right.
Oh, what? We don't know you. You ain't on the cover of a magazine. So, but they're really wonderful. People came together and and helped me bring this vision together.
This is wonderful. Thank you for kind of setting that up for us. Let's roll video if we can, Girl Genius, and we'll watch a little bit for the audience to see. I'm not sure if the volume is there.
Let me see if we hit the sound.
I'm not sure if the volume is there. There we go. So I need to.
Yeah, I think we're hearing the sound. We're working out the sound.
Do I need to? I am on mute.
You may need to unmute. I've unmuted on my end.
I'm not muted.
The sound is on now.
Okay. Yeah.
So maybe if you move it back.
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
I'm not muted.
Try again.
Almost as if I were touching him as himself.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We're good.
It's almost as if I'm reliving the funeral, and yet my heart is full of joy that not only my son, but all of these other people who gave their lives for such a great cause are getting the recognition that is there too. Full of joy that not only my son, but all of these other people who gave their
Okay, we can skip it.
You may not be.
Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. I was
No.
trying to get the volume up and it wouldn't. It coming. That's why I was like coming out of my computer. Sometimes it's like you need to. It's as loud as it's going to get on YouTube.
Got it. It's okay.
However,
It's all
I
right.
will say this, and then I'm going to jump out. What I will do is for anybody that wants to watch this, I mean, definitely talk about this, but for anybody who wants to watch it, I will, if you do not mind, drop this link into the chats.
That's fine. That'll work. Thank you.
No problem.
Fantastic.
There we go.
Great.
There is a little hum. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
And that's unfortunate, but she will drop it. And guys, I want to encourage our audience to definitely watch it. I've watched it several times myself personally, listening and watching different things. I found it to be. I'm an advocate as a creative of multi-dimensional, like using various expressions. The fusion of art. So, like you said, the poetry, the music, the drama, the puppet. It brings a whole different action and life to it. And I wasn't familiar with this. I was not personally familiar with them. So it was also educational in a way that I could personally appreciate. So if I remember correctly, I think some of the efforts here were being used to help programming for anti-gun violence, or am I can you talk about that?
You're correct. So what I'm asking people to do is two things. One is to subscribe to my YouTube page. I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers onto that page because that's going to help me monetize it. and then will help me to do some of the social programs that I'd like to foster. So in going to downloading the actual song itself, the actual poetry itself, part of that funding will be going into what's called the Sound of Life program initiative, which is through a nonprofit agency called Sundog Theater. And what I hope to do is to bring the program in the area where I live. It's an anti-gun, anti-violence program.
Gotcha.
And I'd like to bring it, to where I live, but of course there's a cost factor to it.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to raise $15,000 to bring it to my area here in the Hudson Valley and in Poughkeepsie, to really make it happen, to go into the schools with it, without having the schools to have to take it from them.
Yeah.
I don't mind taking it from me,
Right.
So if I raise this funding to be able to do this, then I can also pay teaching artists, because that's the goal, to pay takes at least 2 teaching artists. I can train and pay 2 teaching artists a nice, a nice chunk to be able to facilitate the program. I've been doing the program now for about 6 years, maybe 6 or 7 years,
Okay.
outside of my area.
Okay.
And obviously we keep getting invited back to these schools where I go do it. And so, I'm like, let me do this at home, so to speak.
Yeah.
Especially since, gun violence is just out of control in America. It's just, out of control, because we've lost the ability to say I'm hurt.
Woo. We've lost the ability to say I'm hurt. I want to come back to that, but so I can put it in the comments. What is your YouTube page name?
Poet Gold.
Okay.
Poet Gold.
Let me just put that here, or maybe we have it already. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously there's some serious consequences of our inability to say or have a safe space.
A safe space, right.
To say that I'm hurting.
Right.
That, yes. And it sounds like, if I'm hearing correctly, and that part of what your desire and goal is to provide the safe space for people to be able to say that, to be able to heal.
Right. To be able to, I won't say that, that they'll heal in that space, but it may be a start. With a lot of other things that can contribute to the process of healing. But it may be a start. I have a poetry festival, and we're in our 5th year.
Yes,
I'm really, right. You see it,
right? I see it.
Shout out my boy Glenn. Glenn Warner. He does some fabulous graphics for us. No person's an island. It's always a team that makes things happen.
Sure.
And so, I want to shout out Glenn for making the graphics happen, and my friend Corinne Concepcion Rivera, who helps with the web space on that. But the idea behind Poetry Fest and the things that I do is to do just that, to create an inclusive space, to create spaces that people feel safe in, to be able to articulate their joy, their pain, to learn how to be able to do that. It may not always be about, I'm in pain and, but if that's there, if it's there, you're in a space.
Yeah.
To be able to express that.
Yeah.
To be able to express, I walk into a room and I find that I'm not like everybody. You're in a space where you can express that. And what does that feel like to you? What's your response internally to that?
Yeah.
Let's write it out. Let's talk about it. And what's your hope behind it? What space would you like to be in? Yeah. Well, how can we create that space? Yeah. But we need to first talk about where you actually are.
Exactly.
Feel that. Don't not acknowledge that. And then let's move beyond that. I had a student the other day. We were, I was using, I don't know if you're familiar with Rudy Francisco.
Yes.
Oh, I just love it. So yes. I was using his because he's such a great metaphor writer. So I was, teaching metaphors and using one of his poems. We were dissecting it, and
Okay.
so and we were talking about anxiety and things of that nature and things that people have to work through, but how they're able to turn it into something beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I shared with them that so far in my journey, I've had 13 major surgeries, some of which were to get me out of a wheelchair. I walk with a cane. And I said to them, I walk with a cane. And I said, but for me, that's a graduation,
Yeah.
And so, and I said, but when I walk past someone who has no feet, I say how blessed I am.
Yeah.
So one of the students raised her hand and she said, well, doesn't that sort of invalidate your experience and your pain? And I said, no, actually, I didn't say by me saying how blessed I am that I was not feeling what I have felt in the past.
Right.
But I've worked through it, through spaces like this, through art, through kindness, through love. How do you get in that circle where you have that support, that you can work through it and do the work within yourself? You don't have to hold on to that space.
Yeah.
Like it's a badge.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to try to outdo someone else's pain. It's all relative.
Right.
You
can say that again. You do not have to try to outdo someone's pain. That's worth saying again. My goodness gracious.
Someone stabs their toe and the person says, well, that's nothing because I broke my arm.
Right.
It's like, no, well, maybe that stabbing of the toe is really painful and it hurts for them and it stops them. But how do we interact to move past that space?
Yeah. Powerful.
Mm-hmm.
You went right to another question of mine,
mm-hmm.
Because I remember reading and learned that it says spoke to something around a childhood disorder or some kind of ailment that you have contended with. And I thought about it. I don't need to know personally what that is, but I thought about in my mind, I'm like, wow, the work that you're doing, whatever that is, hasn't seemed to obstruct, but you just spoke to working through things and using the safe space that either you are creating or poetry or creative expression has created for you to move through those things and now be a light, a beacon, a change for others as well, despite
Yeah.
what others and what anybody may see as a barrier. But there's something in you that's been able to process through even with. Can you talk about what that feels like? And then again, as an artist, have you used some of that? Because we're talking about passion, and I'm about to turn that corner in a minute about passion and what passion really means. How has what others may deem as a obstruction medically been a stepping stone for you in the art or in the creative world?
I have a passion to live.
Yeah.
Wow. I have these moments in life where I share this with a friend where I sort of go, oh, I don't want to be that. These defining moments through the action of others. I shared a story once where I was in the hospital and there was an older woman, and sharing, she was in the other bed, and she had said to me, we had gotten lunch and neither one of us could use the utensils sort of our spell. My arm at that time was sort of turned up like this, and I was getting early on. I was like one of the early hip replacement experiments in America, and so I was going through it, so to speak, and she was going through her, her thing, and she said to me, she said, baby, and I was like, yes, ma'am, and she said, I feel so bad for you. You're gonna have a terrible life,
Wow.
But it was all love. It was that tough love. Like, I'm gonna prepare you.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's not gonna be easy for you because she was suffering from the same thing. It's not gonna be easy for you. And so, it's sort of like, I want you to know. And so in that conversation, they brought us our lunch, and she was just not having a good day and took her tray and slammed it into the floor. So I'm thinking to myself, you know, it was one of those my God moment. Please help me work through. I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
You know, help me work through.
Yeah.
If those feelings crop up, you know, because it was a conversation, you know, she was like, you know, I was like, why did you do that? And she's like, because they should know what it's like. You know, I don't want to wait for someone to help me cut my food. And so it was that anger, bitter moment. And so I didn't want to be like that. So I always try to remain conscious of my pain so that I'm not taking it out on others. Yeah. It's not to say that I haven't had moments in my life where I've probably done that, but I don't want that to shape me.
Yeah.
You know, and so the passion comes from just the zest for life. You know, I don't necessarily have to be the same from day to day because the weather's not the same from day to day. So what makes me have to be the same from day to day? You know, the core of me is consistent.
Yeah.
But I may be impacted by who you are or something that you say or your opinion of something or your critique of my work. And it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
Wow. That recently I've adopted this phrase. I hear it a lot. People like, give yourself grace, be patient with yourself. And another one of my little sessions on Sunday, and I remember thinking, you know, giving yourself grace, what does that mean? And I for me in that moment, it meant to give yourself space, grace, space,
right.
And that's the space for me anyway. And it rings true from what I'm hearing from you is, like you said, day to day or moment to moment, I'm experiencing something, and sometimes it's like, well, you shouldn't feel that way, or you know, you shouldn't, but I do. So I'm gonna process it.
Right.
And I give myself the space to do so.
Yes.
It's to me so much a healthier place than what I have adopted heretofore. So
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. So passion, and you began to turn that corner, and I'm gonna go with you.
Okay.
My segment is called Passion Projects, and here's the cornerstone really of the interview. Talks about passion. So by definition, we normally associate passion with intense emotion, enthusiasm, intense affection towards something or someone. So with that part of the definition, let me ask you, Poet Gold, what causes you to be just intoxicated with joy? What causes your face to hurt from smiling so much? Causes your heart to skip a beat? What is that for you?
Tapping into your greatness sets me free.
Wow.
You know, the arts for me is a vehicle. My biggest dream was to grow up and be a philanthropist.
Wow. Okay.
Just be able to give stuff away.
Yeah.
You know, and the arts, I recognize at a young age that there was a pathway that kept calling me through the arts. That, I mean, I've worked in corporate America, but in the entertainment, you know, field. But the arts give you the platform. You can create the platform for the message. And it kept bringing me back to this lane, so to speak. And I said, this is a place where I see other people's gifts. And I want them to know that they have it. They have it. You got something. Let's work on that.
Yeah.
Let's work on that. Don't shy away from it. Let's embrace it. You may not be there exactly the way that you may have envisioned it, but you can create some story of it.
Yeah. You
know, because sometimes the things that we envision in our lives is not really what we're supposed to be. We get there and go, "Ooh, no, this is not what I thought this was. I don't think I'm supposed to be. I don't think I'm supposed to be here. This is not the version of the story I'm supposed to be living."
Yes.
You know,
totally get that.
Totally get that. But in that space, as you said, you know, you make the space in order to then look at it.
Mm-hmm.
and say, but what am I supposed to take from this?
Mm-hmm.
And where's that going to lead me?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Wow. So seeing the wonderfulness and the greatness in others, it liberates you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If I can have a part of that, you know, whether it's like a platform like you have, like an open mic,
Yeah.
and you have someone come through, you know, who may have always wanted to share but is apprehensive,
Yes.
you know, and you go, no, baby, come on. You want me to stand here next to you? I'm gonna stand here next to you. Everybody be quiet. Let that person shine. And then you look up, 6 months from now and they're the star in the room.
Exactly.
That's, you know.
That's now I this is not my interview, but I just have to say this, that truly is what makes me feel so great. Not as I'm a great person, but fulfilled, as in I can live another day, because this is, to me, what it's all about. It's so funny because literally I've done that. I've hosted, and a person that I've been just encouraging along the way, who writes wonderfully, but has been trepidatious about sharing in any form besides with me or whatever. And I, encourage them over time to come and just share. And I'm standing on the side of the stage and they do their thing. And it's like, oh my gosh. So, and again, it's not about, the feeling isn't about, oh, look what I've done, but it's just
Right. Right.
You see another soul shining, and it's invigorating.
Right. Because the fact of the matter is that if we all just took a moment to find that space within our world, I truly believe that we'd be living in a better world.
Yeah.
We'd live in a better world, because it doesn't, you wouldn't want hate around you, to disrupt that shine that's in you, because that's what allows you to give. That's what allows you to live. That's what prevents the implosions that ultimately become an explosion. And so it's getting people to tap into that space and say, it's okay. I tell adults, go climb a tree. Go find a tree in the park. And let everybody be pointing at you. What she's going to go? She's 40 years old. Why is she climbing a tree? Go climb a tree. Understand what that experience is like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And get a different view of the world.
Get a different view of the world. Exactly. Wow. Powerful. Now, conversely, the word passion, while traditionally it is defined, like we just talked about, enthusiasm and affection and deep longing and things of that nature, there is also the Latin version meaning, which I believe means suffering. And the passion is also the phrase or the term referred to Christ and the crucifixion, the intense suffering, right? That he experienced or experienced on the cross. And so, yet doing this, having this intense experience for the love of mankind. So this suffering, ideally, the concept of being for the love of mankind. That's the story of, the passion in summation. So with that in mind, can you talk to us a little bit about what may be some of the suffering or the angst or the challenges or the push and the pull that you experience with your passion, with your creativity, with your assignment as an artist, or assignment as a creative? We can talk about the highs, but is there points of challenge and push and pull, some of that suffering, for lack of better words?
Well, just in life in general, I mean, I feel that you cannot ask of others what you have not become yourself or have gone through. There's some common ground of experience without having to say, oh yeah, I've been there. There's that that place, because suffering, once again, is all relative.
Yeah.
It's all relative. Someone may suffer from physical things, like myself, who had these surgeries and need to go have some more. I have at least 3 right off the top that I have to get done.
Wow.
And that's it's not going to change. But within that, in connecting that to the art, is that everything doesn't always go our way as artists.
No.
Everything doesn't always go our way. It's for some it's hard to eat
Yeah.
off the art, and that's been my thing as a poet. That may not necessarily want to be in the walls of academia in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
Every day, and God bless the educators and the teachers who do this who do this in the schools, particularly middle and high school, every single day. I mean, they put that work in.
They put it in.
So I wanted to also, as an artist, create a lane that other artists, particularly poets and spoken word artists, can follow. Maybe I'll write a book about it and say, step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, do this, see how it works for you, and try to become a teaching artist, and these little things, so that they can make a living for themselves, even if it's just to supplement their income, so that they're not doing 2 jobs that they may not want to do. One will be in their field.
Yes.
And they've learned how to monetize it. They've learned how to take advantage of the grants, and particular artists of color.
Yes.
Who may not be as familiar with the grant space, or may find it intimidating. And it's a matter of humbling yourself and getting the information, and not being afraid to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm here for this information. Can someone show me? The first grant I wrote was horrendous. It was joyfully horrendous. And I put it in anyway, because I had written grants for the institution I had been working for, and he would get the grants for his theater program. And so I just said, one day I sat down, and it was due like the next day, and I said, maybe I should write this for myself. So I did. I was just putting things. I mean, one would think that I couldn't write a sentence. I knew it was terrible, but I submitted it anyway as an exercise.
Yeah.
I said, because I want to know what they're looking for. So, and I remember them saying to me later on, we really wanted to give it to you, but there was no way we could justify it. It was okay. Because it was a learning space.
Yeah.
For me, I had never submitted a grant for myself before, and so it was a learning space. And I went and I got the notes, and never missed a grant since that point.
Wow. Do you do? You just spoke of, maybe I'll write a book one day. But do you mentor other and kind of walk people through a process, walk other artists or emerging artists through a process of kind of moving through the stages, or moving through various steps of becoming more stable as an artist? Do you do one mentoring in that way?
I have, and when artists in my community need me, I try to make myself available, for that, or at least point them in the direction too. So I have artists who reach out to me all the time, and
okay.
And so,
well, you have to add. Maybe you have to add a few more to the roster. I'm just saying. I don't know. Just add a few more to the roster. So that's awesome. I'm learning so much tonight. It's hard sometimes for me to. I'm trying to stay focused on my role, but I'm learning so much and gleaning so much from your candidness and your sharing. And I know I appreciate. I believe our audiences are pretty appreciating it as well. Just a few more questions, and then we're going to let you share another poem with us. Audience members, please, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat there. Go and make sure you get the link for the video that we attempted to share with you. It is definitely one to be watched several times and enjoyed and shared. And also, I've done it. I've download, trying to giving to the cause that Poet Gold spoke to as it relates to that particular project. It's not just something that was cute, but it has a purpose behind it. So download it and be able to give to the cause that you mentioned.
And I appreciate that. I saw that you did that, and I just want to say thank you.
You're quite welcome.
I appreciate that. I've tried to create a model with my work that now that I'm getting back into recording and actually putting it up on Bandcamp and and those different type of platforms where it goes back.
Yeah.
It's not I'm at a place in my life where, I don't need big houses and a house with 20 rooms and I only stay in one room. It's just want to have a model where the kid needs a laptop, then I can pull that from this funding and say, here's your laptop, stop sweating it, and so everything that I do will have a certain percentage where it's going to go back into the community in which I live in some form or fashion.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer in sowing and reaping. And I believe that it's a principle, whether people are Christians or not, or whatever. To me, that's irrelevant. It's a principle that works no matter where you come from, that when you sow, there's going to be a reaping. So what you sow matters, because that's, but sowing, giving back, putting into the ground, like you said earlier, you started the program off with the seed planter, and I think that's what I believe is my personal belief, allows for the artist to continue to blossom and to bloom and to be effective, is because there's always an undercurrent and an overcurrent of giving, of sowing, giving back. I think that's what helps perpetuate the work and that's my thoughts around that. So I think that's awesome. I totally get that. What advice, because I just asked about mentoring, but what advice would you offer emerging creatives, like or artists who believe that they too, we kind of defined that earlier, but maybe a person may say, I just want to change the world through my art, or maybe it's an emerging artist in general. What would be some points of advice you would share with them?
Be flexible. Don't be so hard on yourself. Be adaptable, and surround yourself by people who have the knowledge that you want to get.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and don't try not to measure yourself by the success of others, and whether or not, let's say, if you got the record deal or not. It's really about what have you learned in the process. And today we're living in such an extraordinary time with this access that you can truly, the essence of being an independent artist, you can be an independent artist. It has some work. You have to do some work.
Yeah. It's
hard work.
Yeah.
But you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it. You just, and I tell artists, well, how much money do you want? What do you really want? What do you really want? Let's peel it back. Forget about, I want the car and I want this and I want $1 million and I want 5 books selling and what do you really want? Why are you doing this?
Why
are you doing? What do you really want? Okay, so if you're making $50,000 from your art, would you be happy? If you make, what does that look like for you? If it's about putting food, what does it look like for you? Really think about it, and then let's begin to execute a plan. Put small steps in place to get you to where you want to be.
Yeah.
That's all I do. I'm still taking small steps, and learning, from them. And then you get to a different level and you're still taking small steps.
Yeah.
On that level and learning, and so, yeah. So that's what I would say to an artist, get the knowledge.
Yeah.
And then let's apply the knowledge and create a plan. It's a business. Recognize your art as a business. And treat it as such if you want to live off your art. If you have the luxury of just being an artist and just doing art, not having to worry about if you're going to eat or not, then, that's fine. But the majority of artists want to, eat from what we do. It's in our heart.
Yeah.
But you have to recognize that it's a business. Then you're talking about taking what you do and turning it into a business of some sort, turning it into your job, so to speak. And so you become your own employer and your own manager and your own director, and you have to develop the discipline for that.
That's a major word, discipline. I think I have entered into this realm so many times, and what I would always come back to is, Cayenne, you need to really be disciplined, because when you work for a 9 to 5, that I worked a 9 to 5, complained about it. I can't stand this place. It's restricting to my creative, side, all of that stuff that I'm going through, right? And then situations with my life would render me without that 9 to 5 for various reasons. And then, I'm gonna do this full-time thing. And then what will always hit me in my face is that, but you have to be disciplined, because on the job, there is a clock. On the job, you're allotted the 30-minute break, and you're going to take it because that's what you're going to give that to me. On the job, you have subsidized health care.
Right.
So these are things that, while I'm complaining, I had not appreciated until moving into a different vein. And it really does require to shift the mindset to say, this is, like you said, it is a business, and all that businesses entail, this is what that needs to entail as well.
Right. I'll tell you a funny story. When I was working in the traditional sense, and perspective on how one looks at work, I used to, and I wrote this story in one of my books that I hope to finish.
Okay.
One of my mini books. But it was a woman that I used to always see at the time clock when we used to clock in, and so we'd clock in, and I'd always say good morning to her, and she would never say good morning to me. It was okay. I would just always say good morning. And one day she said to me, "Why do you always say good morning to me?" It was like it was annoying her.
Right.
And I said, because it's a good morning. And she was like, and so she looked at me like, you're so odd,
Yeah.
And I was like, it is a good morning. I said, think about this. Your family members are not mourning you. You awoke today. It's a good morning. No matter what happens, we're here. We're here to get this check. We're here to deal with some angry customers.
Right.
We're here. And then on the flip side of that is that part of that money was allowing me to foster my art.
Yeah.
And we go back to gratefulness. It's the lens. How are we looking at our life through our lens? What is it? What is the place that you feel you hate? You don't hate that place, really. It's just that you're not fostering the thing that you really want to do.
Yeah.
And let's talk about how to get there.
Yeah.
What vehicles do we use to get there?
Yeah.
Let's find those vehicles.
That's a class, and I feel like you should do it, and I feel like I should be the number one person. I'm just saying, I'm signing up now for the class to come.
You got me laughing and tearing.
No, seriously. Oh my gosh. Powerful. Listen, we introduce the show, and we often say the audience has called this it's like a master class, and I feel like you have done nothing but render master thoughts around how to navigate and even understanding who you are and who people can identify with themselves, who they are, understanding that in a way that is digestible. It's definitely a master class in that regard. And I can't thank you enough for being here and sharing yourself with us.
Thank you for having me.
I could definitely talk for hours with you, actually, but we don't have that kind of time, so I won't do that. Now, before you come back on with I'm sorry, any projects or new things that you're doing, or that you would like us to support, or that the audience can support. And support can mean money, but it also can mean other things, and however that may mean for you. What are some of your upcoming projects that you'd like to tell us about?
Well, you can always tune in to Finding Out with Pete and the Poet Gold. It's a podcast on iHeart, and we have a regular show on iHeart. But if you just follow my pages, my Instagram page, subscribe to that, my YouTube page. Definitely subscribe to the YouTube. I want to get those numbers up on YouTube.
Okay.
That means a lot to me,
Okay.
to get those up. I'm learning something new through YouTube, understanding that platform, and I know I need the numbers up,
Yeah.
with the work. And so I'm uploading content there. So you'll learn about my projects there, and you'll learn about the projects on Instagram. Just follow me and share my work, and I greatly appreciate it. I really do, because by doing that, it enables me to do more.
Yeah.
It enables me to do more. And so if you can simply, do that, beyond just liking something.
Okay.
Just subscribe to my YouTube. Let's get those YouTube subscriptions up to 1,000. Let's get those numbers up. Help me do that.
I think that's a feasible request, and definitely can be done. And I will just say that I've had an opportunity to look at some of the content that you have putting out there, and it's good quality content. Like I have found myself not watching as much television, which is probably good, but I've kind of shifted to watching more YouTube things, and people having their own, like you said, we can be independent artists. Everybody's out here doing something now.
Right.
So I'm finding content that is intriguing enough for me I've abandoned the everyday TV, and I'm like, okay,
yes.
I can say personally that the content that I've been able to experience on your social media platforms is healthy and weighty and worth connecting with. It's not just flighty. So
Thank you for that.
I encourage the audience, please follow and subscribe as Poet Gold has requested. So my last set of questions is what I call whimsy and wonder. So we talk about a lot of deep stuff, and at the core of who I am, I'm a goofball. So here's my opportunity to be goofy a little bit. Whimsy and wonder. So I'm gonna ask you a few questions. Would you rather jump into an icy river or parachute from a plane? If you had two choices, you had to do one or the other.
Oh man, I don't like the cold too much, even though I live in a cold area. So I'd say parachute from a plane.
Okay, cool. Are you a heights person or?
Not really. Most of the time I take the train when I travel. I love trains.
Okay.
But I'm not afraid to fly.
Okay.
So parachute from a plane than getting in an icy river. Even though the icy river is probably better for your system.
Yeah, that's what I've been understanding.
Yeah.
I do not like the cold.
Yeah,
though.
It's better for your body, the going and immersing yourself in the icy water. But
yeah,
the cold thing doesn't makes my bones hurt.
Yeah, I can't say, but you're right. I've heard that so many times. It's much better for your body. Okay, so here's another weird question. What does a perfectly executed poem smell like?
Ooh. Oh man, I just smelled it too, right? A cherry or a blueberry pie.
Yeah, I can smell that.
Yeah, freshly baked.
Freshly baked. Okay, gotcha.
Freshly baked.
Cherry or blueberry pie.
Yeah.
Sitting on the windowsill, wafting through the.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay, without thinking, tell me the first word that comes to mind when you hear the word prickly.
Scorpion. No, porcupine.
Porcupine.
Yeah.
Did you think about it? You thought about it.
No. What it is that I don't know why I said scorpion, but I was somehow porcupine, scorpion.
Hey, it's the first word. It's all good. There's no wrong answers. Paper cut.
A paper cut. Finger.
Okay. The first word, passion.
Love.
Purpose.
Purple.
Okay, there you go. Purple with royalty. I love it. Okay, and then lastly, if you had a billboard space, which you may have, no, but if you had a billboard space that would remain well after you left this earth, with words that you chose to be on that billboard, what would your billboard say?
It would say, when things go dark, be the light in your life. Be the poem.
Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Poet Go, I'm going to exit. You're going to end us out with a poem, and then we'll come back again.
Okay. Be the poem. No doubt, I have a bias. I'm going to ask of you to be poetry, to be the poem in your life, to be that which moves you, stirs you like a lover's first kiss, compelling you to believe that you are now superhuman, pumping with adrenaline, capable of conquering anything. Wow, be the poem. Imagine sunsets with orange hues across the sky. When the stars ascend to blanket the night, when things go dark, be the light in your life. Be the poem. Be the poem that teaches, reaches, circles the universe through quatrains, sonnets, prose, and free verse. Let it be Mozart to a hip hop beat, ballet performed on blacktop and concrete. Let it be imaginative, soulful, eloquently stated, and unique. Be the poem. Be the poem that chooses to be fearless, never imprisons the heart, beckons the soul to rain tears when you're falling apart. Be the poem that heals and learns to forgive, releasing thunderous anger and hate so you may truly live. And when it comes a day you should fall ill, know that cure may not come in the form of a pill, but in the lines of poetry that will be more than a prayer. It will shout hallelujah. Your salvation will be there. Be the poem. Be the poem that breathes the breath to dream out loud. Discover the wonders residing above the clouds. For Helios's chariot brings hope with each day. The time is now to make life your way. Board your ships, set sail to sea. Be brave, my friends. Be the poem in your life. May your life be poetry. Thank you.
Woo! That was a phenomenal.
Hey, guys.
Yes, there was. I love what you would put on your billboard, and I absolutely love that poem.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank
Same. Absolutely same.
That's an original. That's something that I haven't heard before. Like, I haven't heard anyone say "be the poem in your life" in any type of poem. You know how you hear the same kind of concept? I haven't heard that concept before. So I'm gonna be the poem in my life. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can I do say one thing though? When you talked about projects, I just want to say on April 23rd, I have a poetry festival. We're in our 5th year, and everyone's invited because we do have an online component to it. It's from 12 to 8 p.m. And you can visit poetryfest.com to learn more information. We're working on the website, but there you'll find all the information, the links for the online components. So no matter where you are in the world, you can participate in Poetry Fest. And this year we are highlighting James Baldwin. Every year I pick a poet to sort of celebrate. And so if you have a favorite prose or piece by James Baldwin, record yourself reading the poem onto your phone and email it to us to poetryfest@gmail.com. And that's poetry spelled POUGHETRY.
Okay. Thanks for the correction.
Poetryfest@gmail.com. And so
I saw this earlier on IG, and I was like, "That's smart."
Yeah.
So you guys, we're trying to get the submissions in by the end of this week, so that my team has the opportunity to make this video clip that we use to premiere it. So record yourself, send it to Poetry Fest, and we'll take care of the rest. Just make sure you say who you are and where you're from.
Okay. I think I'm gonna do that.
Fantastic. I think I might do that too. Let me see.
Yay. Love it.
That's awesome. Wow.
This has been so great for me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's very comfortable.
Awesome. Thank you. You dived into so many things. I was like, I ain't even got to ask that question. She covered it. She said that stuff. But, my co-host, sometimes they have great questions. We also looking for some questions in the comments before we, Girl Genius has her infamous question before the show ends. But anybody have any questions or comments?
That was my last question, but more right now, it's more of a comment than a question.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to at least acknowledge and say thank you for being here, because I really enjoy when I get a chance to know artists that I'm less familiar with, but certainly people who have really great backgrounds and really great stories and really great words of wisdom. So I just want to tell you before we get off the air, really thank you. It was a really, really great interview. Thank you.
Thank you guys for having the platform. These these platforms are so incredibly important for, all the artists that are out there. And so my hat's off to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, been 2 years and a month right now.
Yep, 2 years and a month.
2 years and a month.
Yes.
I just want to say definitely a comment as well, because great interview, by the way, Miss Cayenne. I know, like, I'm listening, and I know sometimes, like, when you're learning things, right, it's kind of like a light bulb that's going off. Like, if you hear her, like, when you're talking, she's like, like, and so, like, I just want you to know, I was doing the same thing. That's why I stay on mute. You can't hear me doing those things, but I definitely I want to talk about self-care. That's a lot of things that people who put on events, they don't schedule their self-care. So we talk about all the things that we do, for the community. Like, basically, you are doing philanthropy, because you definitely are giving. You say you want to give to people. It's not always about giving the money. It's about giving the time, and you're giving of yourself. So I just wanted to ask, and I know a lot of times people don't have an answer for this, but I bring it to their attention. What do you do as an artist? Everything that you're doing in your life and as artistry, what do you do for self-care?
I shut down July 1st. I was born July 1st. Okay. And usually that weekend I get on a train and go down to Florida. And I spend a month, down there. And I may write, and maybe I might do a little business, but it's not in that same space in comparison to where I live, where it's just constant. The phone is constantly going off. And so, so a few years back, I decided that, no, this is what I'm going to do for myself.
Nice.
And spend some time with my family, my mom, my sister, my nieces, and, and just make new friends, and go find great Japanese restaurants and great soul food restaurants, and drink some sake out in the sun, and, and just sort of have that moment. And so that's what I do. I sit by lakes and talk to the swans, and
fantastic.
run from the big armadillos, and
yes,
I like having those moments.
Wow.
I think the next space I want to create for myself is to travel more where friends that I've met, like you guys, to those spaces. To technology has been really great, and I like to hug some of you.
Yeah. I love that. I did a lot of that pre-pandemic. I didn't realize how much I missed it until after.
Yeah. And so, I just want to, some of the people that have interviewed me, and we've had just really great conversations. I'm, like I said, I'm a train traveler. I'll get on a plane if I have to, but I want to get on the train and just go from space to space and say, hey, how you doing?
Let's embrace. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Stop on by here. I'm taking all the hugs.
Like I said.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely. I've been talking about doing a train ride again. I took a train ride for the first time a couple years ago, and I went to New Orleans. I'd never been to New Orleans, and it was a 24-hour trip on the train. And it was about going to the space, but I also wanted the travel was my vacation, the actual.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. Now I had a little bit of coins, so I did the train ride. I didn't have a private room, so that whole time was out in public. And in my head, it was, okay, it's going to be quiet on the train. I'm going to watch the trees and whatever's passing. I'm going to write, and I'm going to sleep. And I did do that. I really did. But then it was the midnight and the 2 a.m. stops and people coming on. Everybody wasn't quiet.
Right. Yes, it happens. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know why I didn't think about that.
No, I actually have on my bucket list. I want to do, what's the one? There's one that runs the West Coast. Like,
oh, yes.
With the
it's glass.
Pools, yep. The big side window where you can see the mountains and the ocean. And I want to do that one.
Yes, you go from Chicago, and
There's Chicago, or there's one from Seattle to
Washington,
Seattle to San Diego.
Right. Oh, you talking about that one? Okay, yeah.
Seattle to San Diego.
Chicago, and it takes you out to California, Nevada.
Nice.
Yeah. So
okay, I gotta look that one up. I really would love to do that. That's beautiful.
I forget what it's called, but I'll sideline you after this is over when I remember. But yeah, it's a literal the side of its glass, and
Amazing. That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing.
I definitely want to check that out. Let me know. Let me just ask one last question before we definitely jump into our last question. What do you want your legacy to be? Or this is the thing, a lot of times we have an idea of how we want our legacy to be, right? But then other people get other things from it, right? But if you could choose, what are you leaving behind?
Well, there's two things. I mean, from on a tangible, sort of tactical kind of way, the poetry festival where I live, and have that really grow into something where people all over the country come to Poughkeepsie, and to experience this festival on a level from the heart. Just that I lived and I was kind. I fostered kindness amongst people.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
This was asked actually on a radio interview the other day too, and it was, if I'm going to be a third to help people really look at their racial lens in America, and deal with what that fear is that makes you want to hate people because you think they're different, or you think they're taking something from you. Really peel that fear back, because it's fear. It's really illogical. It's really fear. And so to just to peel it back, to begin to really have the conversation and the action steps to change it in a system that has been built on racism and that thrives from racism, and at the expense of others, but it's impacted everyone.
It's
impacted everyone. And so and I really true in my heart believe that no one really wants to be in that space, because it's not healthy. It's a space of anxiety, it's a space of angst, it's a space of pain. No one wants to be really in that space, but you have to do the work to consciously recognize that for yourself, that you're hurting yourself. So to be a part of that that undoing of racism in some way in America. I can't speak to the world. This is where I live.
Yeah.
This is where I live. So I need to take care of my home before I start telling other people in other places what to do.
How to run their business, right? How to run their stuff.
That's right. That's right. That's a word.
That's right. A whole word. A whole word right there. You do a lot of work and collaborations, from what I see, with diverse audiences and individuals and entities. And I see a lot of that racial, kind of the work towards crushing that racial divide. Have you come against a lot of opposition in that work, or have you found that there are a lot more people like yourself wanting to create that change? It varies. I can always tell in a space where people are sort of like, well, what is she about really? And it's like, is this like real? Is this, and I said on the show the other day, life is real short. What we have in common is that we're born and we all leave. And so what do you want that space in between to be like? And, do you want that space to be, me hating you because your skin is white, or someone hating them because the skin is black, or, someone hating someone because one is high yellow and the other one is not. I mean, there's so many different, these conversations and these things that have influenced us and just rob us of our spirit and our love. We have to fight within ourselves for that love, not to be in that space, so that we can experience more love. Yeah. It's a fight for love.
It's a fight for love.
Fight for love.
It's a fight for love, indeed.
Indeed. Wow. Girl Genius, you have the last and final question of the evening.
Yeah.
It is the hardest question you will answer all night.
Okay.
All right. So, real quick rundown of again what the segments are. Mine is let's talk about the dot dot dot. Usually books. You've been on passion projects that way. Been on passion projects. Kanicki's is poets and platforms, and Sherry's is from behind the microphone. Right.
Okay.
So the super question is: now that you have been on this show, who
Mhm.
do you think will make a good guest for any of the segments?
Do they have to be a poet?
No, we have had poets, musicians, artists. We've had a makeup artist on here. We just happen by proxy to know most of these people through poetry in some capacity.
And then there has been another question. Do they have to be BIPOC?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No, they do not.
All right. Well, I think, since I've been on Themis, my friend Sabrina, I think that she would be a great artist. To talk to, it's very interesting. I've learned a lot from the world of found objects and environmental issues through art.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how when she has an amazing piece, and please forgive me for I struggle sometimes with his name, and I apologize to him. Colin
Colin Kaepernick.
Thank you, Colin Kaepernick.
Okay.
She has a wonderful sculpture of him, and it's amazing. I think I don't know what she made. I may have been made out of bottle caps, but
Ooh.
just wonderful, wonderful work. And then there's I'm around so many just extraordinary artists that I send you a list, but
I've yet to have I've yet to have a visual artist on
That's
my
what we
segment.
want, the list.
I've yet to have a visual artist on my show, on my segment. I'm all for it.
I have a friend I went to school with. Her name is Marlon Bodden, who's a lawyer, a public defender lawyer in New York, and she has 2 books out. One is called The Wedding Gift, which was a #1 bestseller, and she has the second book out. And forgive me, but you have to go to her website, and I'll send you her link. But she's you want to talk about passionate, activism, passionate. And a lawyer at that,
Wow. Yeah, right.
She would make for very interesting conversation.
Sure.
Very interesting conversation. And she's worked in the field of modern day slavery.
Wow.
Because it still exists.
Yeah.
So it's just unspoken.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it very much alive.
Mm-hmm. I would say, please feel free. If anybody pops in your head that wasn't mentioned, and you think of somebody, like, just email us. Like I am a advocate, as I said up front. I'm always an advocate of bringing in people we don't have day-to-day contact with, or we don't have, that maybe we know who they are, maybe we don't, but they have interesting backstories. I'm good for backstories.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And there's a whole world out there of you guys know this from doing the work that you do of wonderful, artists out there, in different fields. And platforms like this give them more exposure. So
exactly. Mm-hmm. I definitely would like to get some. I don't know her last name, but I remember the name through the project. So I'd definitely like to get from you her contact information. So
yes, definitely. Good. Wonderful. Thank you, guys.
Oh no,
thank you so much.
No, thank you. This was great.
Amazing.
So thank you, everybody. First of all, one more round of applause now that we're off, mute for Poet Gold. The spelling and the link for Poetry Fest is in the chat, and I will put the whole thing in there again. The link for the video is also in the chat on both YouTube and Facebook. So if you want to go back and watch the video, the link is definitely there. I encourage you. Her website is above. I encourage you to follow her, like, subscribe, share, and also like, subscribe, share, keep the mic on. If you like what we do, what is that thing that Sherry always says about if you don't like this week's host, there's another host next week?
Yep. I'm pretty sure she got that from me.
Yeah, probably.
And look, ironically, I'm next week's host.
You are next week. No, actually, you're not next week's host. The week after next.
I am. What's the date?
Next
I am week after next.
Yes, you are week
tell
after
the people.
next.
Tell the people.
Next week we are not here because it is Easter. We
Yes.
have made a commitment this year to taking like holidays off, like that in the name of self-care for us. We take holidays off. So then we will not be here next week, ladies and gentlemen. We will be here the week after next, and our guest for Kaniki's segment will be, drum roll, because I know this answer.
It is Roscoe Burnhams, and we had him on like our early.
This is only in 2 or 3 years now. This is only our second repeat artist.
Yes. So he's done some other things, and I'll tell you about it. So come back so you can see what happened. Why we want to bring back this.
What had happened was, this is only the second time we had a repeat. The only person we repeated before was Vision, because he came in at the beginning, and it was one of the few we didn't get recorded.
Gotcha.
When we didn't know what we were doing.
We did not.
But yeah, we are bringing Roscoe Burnhams back. I'm excited to have him back on the show. Yay. So we will be back in 2 weeks. Until then, what is it we always say here? Stay safe, wash your hands.
Wash those hands.
And like, follow, share, and
right. Use hand sanitizer, cough in that direction, away from me, all fun things. Enjoy your, if you are a person who celebrates Easter, then enjoy your Easter weekend. I was going to say something, but it's not going to, what's funny? No one would get the joke but me.
Oh, man. All right, good night.
That's an off-air joke. I'll tell y'all off-air. All right,
good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
You ladies are great.